Built to Rise: Success Principles for Melanated People and People of African Descent, written by Langston E. Hughes. Chapter 12: Leadership Without Ego. Leadership is service with structure. Many people want to be seen as leaders. Fewer people want to carry the weight of leadership. They want the microphone, but not the meeting after everyone leaves. They want the title, but not the accountability. They want the applause, but not the correction. They want the image of power, but not the discipline of listening. They want to be followed, but not to be responsible for where people are being led. This is dangerous. Leadership without character can harm families, businesses, churches, mosques, temples, schools, movements, and communities. Leadership without structure creates confusion. Leadership without humility becomes performance. Leadership without listening becomes control. Leadership without succession becomes dependency. Leadership without service becomes ego in public clothing. For melanated people and people of African descent, leadership is not a luxury. Our households need leadership. Our children need leadership. Our businesses need leadership. Our health requires leadership. Our communities need people who can organize, teach, build, negotiate, protect, repair, and pass power responsibly. But we must be careful not to confuse visibility with leadership. Visibility means people can see you. Leadership means people can trust you with responsibility. There is a difference. The ego trap. Ego is not the same as confidence. Confidence says, I can serve here. Ego says, this cannot happen without me. Confidence says, I have something to contribute. Ego says, my contribution must be centered. Confidence can be corrected. Ego turns correction into betrayal. Confidence builds others. Ego keeps others dependent. Confidence can share power. Ego fears being replaced. Ego is especially dangerous in wounded communities because people may mistake charisma for healing. A leader can speak beautifully, dress sharply, quote history, stir emotion, use spiritual language, and still create a culture of control, confusion, and dependency. People may follow because they are hungry for certainty. They may ignore warning signs because the leader seems strong. They may excuse harm because the mission sounds important. But the fruit must be examined. Does this leadership produce mature people or dependent people? Does it create systems or only events? Does it share knowledge or hoard it? Does it welcome questions or punish them? Does it protect the vulnerable or use them? Does it handle money clearly? Does it build successors? Does it repair harm? Does it tell the truth? Does it become more humble with responsibility or more entitled? Ego may build a crowd, but character builds trust. Leadership begins with self-government. You cannot lead well what you refuse to govern in yourself. If you cannot govern your emotions, your leadership will become reactive. If you cannot govern your speech, your words will wound people unnecessarily. If you cannot govern your money, resources may become chaotic. If you cannot govern your calendar, people will suffer from your disorganization. If you cannot govern your ego, every disagreement will become personal. If you cannot govern your private life, public success may become a mask. Self-government does not mean perfection. Leaders are human. They get tired, afraid, angry, confused, and wrong. But a trustworthy leader has practices for correction, reflection, repair, and growth. Before leading a room, ask, can I keep promises? Can I admit when I am wrong? Can I make decisions without needing everyone to like me? Can I listen to people with less status? Can I be transparent with money and power? Can I delegate without controlling? Can I receive correction from people I lead? Can I protect the mission from my own pride? Leadership starts where excuses end. Service with structure. Service alone is not enough if there is no structure. A person can care deeply and still create confusion. They can love the community and still fail to plan. They can have a beautiful heart and still mishandle money. They can want to help children and still lack safety policies. They can want to mentor young people and still fail to show up consistently. They can want to feed families and still lack distribution systems. Leadership is service with structure. Service asks, who needs help? Structure asks, how will the help be delivered responsibly? Service asks, who is hurting? Structure asks, what system will reduce the harm? Service asks, what do we care about? Structure asks, what calendar, budget, roles, agreements, and measurements will carry that care? A leader must love people enough to organize. In a household, structure may look like routines, chores, family meetings, money plans, health rhythms, and conflict rules. In a business, structure may look like clear offers, bookkeeping, contracts, customer service standards, employee training, and quality control. In a community group, structure may look like meeting agendas, decision rules, volunteer roles, safeguarding policies, financial transparency, and succession planning. In a movement, structure may look like political education, disciplined communication, security culture, legal strategy, fundraising, training, and care for those who carry the work. Structure does not kill spirit. Good structure protects spirit from exhaustion. Real-world example. Ella Baker offers one of the clearest examples of leadership without ego. The SNCC Digital Gateway describes how Baker organized the 1960 conference at Shaw University that helped give birth to the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. Instead of pushing young activists to become merely a youth wing of an older organization, she encouraged them to form their own organization and build from the bottom up. Her leadership was not centered on making herself famous. It was centered on helping people develop the capacity to lead themselves. She believed in grassroots organizing, local leadership, patient conversation, and democratic participation. Her work showed that powerful leadership can happen behind the scenes, through meetings, travel, phone calls, mentorship, introductions, training, and trust. Baker's example challenges the leader-centered model. She did not need to be the face in order to be foundational. She did not need every decision to run through her in order to shape history. She did not confuse humility with smallness. She understood that a leader's job is not to make people dependent on the leader. A leader's job is to help people become stronger, clearer, and more organized. This is a critical lesson for modern communities. If your leadership disappears and everything collapses, you may have built dependence instead of capacity. If no one else can make decisions, you have not trained leadership. If people cannot question you, you have not built trust. If all resources flow through you, you have created vulnerability. If the work cannot continue without your personality, the structure is too weak. Leadership without ego builds people who can lead when you are not in the room. Listening is leadership. Many people think leadership begins with speaking. Often, it begins with listening. Listening does not mean passively accepting every opinion. It means gathering reality before making decisions. It means respecting the knowledge of people closest to the problem. It means noticing what is not being said. It means hearing patterns beneath complaints. A leader who does not listen will solve the wrong problem. Parents who do not listen may discipline symptoms while ignoring the child's actual need. Business owners who do not listen may create products no one wants. Community leaders who do not listen may host events that look good but solve little. Spiritual leaders who do not listen may preach at pain without understanding it. Managers who do not listen may lose the trust of good workers. Listening asks, what is happening here? Who is affected? What do they say they need? What evidence supports this? What has already been tried? Who has wisdom I have ignored? What am I assuming? Listening is especially important when leading people of African descent because our communities are not one thing. There are differences of nationality, language, class, faith, gender, age, region, education, immigration history, political belief, disability, and lived experience. A leader who treats the people as a flat category will miss reality. Do not lead a community you refuse to learn. Decision-making leadership requires decisions. Some people avoid decisions because they fear criticism. Some delay until urgency decides for them. Some ask too many people because they want the comfort of shared blame. Some make decisions impulsively to look strong. None of these is mature leadership. A good decision-making process includes clarify the issue, gather facts, listen to affected people, consult wise counsel, consider values and purpose, evaluate risks, name trade-offs, decide, communicate clearly, review outcomes. Not every decision needs a committee. Not every decision should be made alone. Wisdom is knowing the difference. In a family, some decisions need both partners. Some need children's input. Some belong to the parent. Some require professional advice. In a business, some decisions need data. Some need customer feedback. Some need legal or financial review. Some need quick action. In a community organization, some decisions need democratic process. Some need leadership authority. Some need emergency response. The leader must ask who has the right to speak into this, who has responsibility for the outcome, who carries the cost, what decision process matches the stakes. Leadership is not avoiding hard calls. Leadership is making them with integrity. Titles do not make leaders. A title can name a responsibility, but it does not create character. Parent, pastor, CEO, founder, director, president, coach, teacher, elder, minister, manager, organizer, chairperson. These titles may matter, but the title is not the proof. The proof is the care, structure, fruit, and accountability connected to the title. Some people chase titles because titles offer identity. They want to be called something because they have not settled who they are. They want authority because they feel unseen. They want control because they feel insecure. They want followers because they do not know how to be alone with their own purpose. This is why inner mastery comes before leadership. If the self is unhealed, leadership can become a stage for the wound. If the ego is hungry, people become food. If the leader lacks discipline, the organization becomes unstable. If the leader lacks humility, correction becomes impossible. Do not chase titles, accept responsibility. If the title comes, let it describe service already being done. Real-world example. Shirley Chisholm offers an example of principled leadership in public life. The U.S. House of Representatives history, art and archives records that she represented New York in Congress from 1969 to 1983 and ran for the Democratic presidential nomination in 1972. Her campaign motto, "Unbought and Unbossed," captured a leadership posture rooted in independence and accountability to people rather than political comfort. Chisholm's leadership was not ego-free because she lacked confidence. She was bold. She spoke clearly. She challenged expectations, but her boldness was attached to service, education, childcare, labor, poverty, women, working families, and people pushed to the margins. Her example teaches that leadership without ego does not mean leadership without courage. Sometimes humility speaks loudly. Sometimes service confronts power. Sometimes a leader must enter a room that was not built for them and refuse to be invisible. Sometimes leadership requires coalition, working with people who do not share every part of your identity but can help advance a just outcome. Sometimes leadership requires independence, refusing to be owned by donors, parties, institutions, popularity, or fear. Chisholm reminds us that public leadership should answer to purpose, not only position. The modern reader can ask, who am I accountable to? What values cannot be purchased? Where have I been silent because acceptance felt safer than truth? What coalition could move the work forward? What issue requires courage from me? Leadership without ego is not timid. It is brave enough to serve the mission more than the image. Power must be shared. Power that cannot be shared is insecurity. A leader should ask who else needs information, who else needs training, who else should be trusted with responsibility. Who else should speak? Who else should be paid? Who else should be credited? Who else should be prepared for succession? Sharing power does not mean abandoning standards. Not everyone is ready for every responsibility, but a leader who never shares meaningful responsibility becomes a bottleneck. Bottleneck leadership slows everything down. Every decision waits for one person. Every resource flows through one person. Every conflict depends on one person. Every relationship is attached to one person. Every failure is hidden from one person or blamed on them. The organization may look strong because the leader is active, but underneath it is fragile. Strong leadership creates more leaders. Train people, document processes, let others practice. Give feedback, create roles, rotate responsibilities when appropriate. Pay attention to quiet talent, prepare people before crisis. If your leadership is real, someone else should become stronger because of it. Accountability for leaders. Everyone needs accountability, especially leaders. The more influence a person has, the more dangerous it becomes for them to live without correction. People may start flattering them, staff may fear telling the truth, followers may excuse harm, family may depend on their status, critics may be dismissed automatically. Money may flow through their hands, decisions may affect many people. A leader without accountability becomes a risk. Accountability may include a board, elders, professional advisors, financial audits, written policies, regular feedback. Term limits, conflict processes, transparent budgets, counseling or coaching, peer accountability, community reporting, clear separation of personal and organizational funds. Leaders should not only accept accountability after scandal, they should build accountability before power grows. Ask who can tell me no, who can question my decisions, who reviews the money, who protects people from my blind spots, who helps me see what I do not want to see. Who would know if I were becoming unhealthy in leadership? If the answer is nobody, the structure is unsafe. The leader as teacher. A leader should teach. Teaching does not always happen in a classroom. It happens through explanation, modeling, training, correction, storytelling, documentation, and example. If you lead a family, teach children why standards exist. If you lead a business, teach the team how quality is defined. If you lead a community organization, teach members the history and purpose behind the work. If you lead spiritually, teach people how to grow beyond dependence on your voice. If you lead creatively, teach process as well as performance. Teaching protects the work from personality dependence. A leader who refuses to teach may be trying to stay needed. A secure leader wants people to understand. They want people to develop judgment. They want people to ask better questions. Leadership is not merely getting people to do what you say. Leadership is helping people understand why the work matters and how to carry it with wisdom. Real-world example. Septima Clark. Septima Clark shows leadership through education and replication. The SNCC Digital Gateway describes how she pioneered the link between education and political organizing, developing citizenship education that used ordinary materials and helped people become leaders. Her work with citizenship schools helped adults learn literacy while also developing the knowledge and confidence needed for civic participation. This is leadership without ego, because the goal was not to keep all knowledge in one teacher's hands. The goal was multiplication. Students became teachers. Local people became organizers. Education became power that could travel. Clark's example is vital for any community seeking lasting success. People cannot read the documents, they can be manipulated. If they cannot understand the process, they can be excluded. If they cannot teach others, the work stops with one generation. If they cannot lead locally, every problem waits for outside rescue. Clark's leadership was not glamorous in the shallow sense. It involved adult literacy, workshops, travel, materials, patience, and repetition. But those quiet structures help change lives. Modern leadership can learn from this. Teach the skill. Teach the process, teach the history, teach the rights, teach the money, teach the health practices, teach the technology, teach the children, teach the elders if needed, teach in ways people can use. Leadership becomes legacy when knowledge multiplies. Leading in the household, leadership begins close. Some people want to lead the community but avoid leadership at home. They can speak to crowds but cannot apologize to a spouse. They can organize events but cannot create a peaceful household. They can preach discipline but their children experience inconsistency. They can advise strangers but ignore the needs of aging parents, partners, or children. Public leadership cannot be used to escape private responsibility. Household leadership includes emotional steadiness, financial planning, protection of children, healthy communication, repair after conflict, shared responsibilities, health rhythms, spiritual or reflective practice, education, safety, celebration, order. This does not mean one person controls everyone. Leadership in a household may be shared. Partners can lead in different areas. Children can be given age-appropriate responsibility. Elders can offer wisdom. The goal is not domination. The goal is healthy order. A well-led household is a powerful institution. Leading a business leadership is not only about profit. Profit matters because a business that never becomes financially healthy cannot serve for long. But leadership also includes ethics, customer care, employee treatment, quality systems, and community impact. A business leader should ask, are our numbers clear? Are our offers honest? Are customers treated with respect? Are workers trained and paid as fairly as possible? Are agreements written? Are taxes and records handled responsibly? Are we solving real problems? Are we exploiting culture or honoring it? Are we building a brand that can be trusted? Are we preparing the next level of leadership? For businesses owned by people of African descent, leadership also carries a community dimension. Customers may want to support you. Do not repay their support with poor communication, inconsistent service, unclear pricing, or disrespect. Excellence is not optional. Community support should be met with professional standards. Leading community work, community leadership is demanding because pain, history, politics, money, ego, and need all enter the room. If you lead community work, beware of 3 traps. The savior trap. This says, I must rescue everyone. It leads to burnout and resentment. The celebrity trap. This says, the work must make me visible. It leads to performance and competition. The chaos trap. This says, because the need is urgent, structure can wait. It leads to confusion and harm. Healthy community leadership says, I will serve, but I am not the savior. I will be visible when needed, but visibility is not the mission. I will respond to urgency with structure, not panic. Community work needs clear purpose, defined roles, financial transparency, safety practices, volunteer training, partnerships, evaluation, rest, succession. Do not build a community project entirely around your exhaustion. If the work requires your constant depletion, the system needs redesign. Succession is leadership. Succession means preparing others to carry the work. Many families, businesses, ministries, and community organizations weaken because succession was ignored. The founder dies, burns out, relocates, becomes ill, loses capacity, or refuses to share control, and the work collapses. This is preventable. Succession requires humility. It means admitting you will not always be the one leading. It means documenting knowledge. It means training people before you need them. It means letting others make decisions while you can still guide them. It means creating systems, not secrets. Ask, if I could not lead for 90 days, what would happen? Who knows the passwords, contacts, accounts, processes, and agreements? Who understands the mission? Who can make decisions? Who is being trained? What is written down? What is still only in my head? Leadership without succession is ego pretending to be commitment. Prepare the next leader. The leadership scorecard. Use a scorecard to examine leadership honestly. Rate yourself from 1 to 5 in these areas: purpose, clarity, emotional control, listening, decision-making, financial responsibility, communication, delegation, accountability, conflict repair, teaching, succession, service, health, humility. Then ask, where am I strong? Where am I dangerous? Where do I need training? Who can help me grow? What must change in the next 90 days? Leadership development is not only for executives. Parents need it. Entrepreneurs need it. Elders need it. Youth leaders need it. Artists need it. Spiritual leaders need it. Organizers need it. If people are affected by your decisions, you owe them growth. This week's work, this chapter becomes real when leadership becomes practice. Set aside 1 hour this week and complete the following. Identify one area where you are already leading: household, work, business, community, creative project, spiritual service, or family. Write the people affected by your leadership. Complete the leadership scorecard. Identify one ego trap you must watch in yourself. Choose one person you can train, mentor, delegate to, or encourage. Write down one process currently held only in your head. Ask one trusted person for honest feedback about your leadership. Do not seek praise from the feedback. Seek truth you can use. Declaration: I choose leadership without ego. I will not chase titles while avoiding responsibility. I will serve with structure, listen with humility, decide with integrity, and share power wisely. I will build people, not dependency. I will accept accountability before crisis demands it. I will teach what I know, prepare successors, and protect the mission from my pride. My leadership will create trust, order, courage, and capacity. Closing thought: the 12th law of melanated success is this: lead so others become stronger. Leadership is not proven by how many people need you. Leadership is proven by how many people become clearer, wiser, more disciplined, more capable, and more courageous because you served well. Do not worship the title. Carry the responsibility. Do not chase the spotlight. Build the structure. Do not demand loyalty while refusing accountability. Earn trust. Do not make yourself the ceiling. Prepare others to rise. Leadership without ego is not smaller leadership. It is stronger leadership. It has enough humility to listen, enough courage to decide, enough discipline to organize, and enough love to leave people more capable than they were before.